Millions of people swipe, hoping, guessing, competing. Most never understand what's really happening. Attraction online isn't random, it's positioning, it's psychology, it's perception. One photo can elevate you, one message can separate you, one mistake can erase you. Modern dating isn't about love first. It's about strategy first. And the ones who understand the game don't chase, they attract. Love at first click. Dirty little secrets to succeed at modern online dating. Stop swiping blindly, start playing sharp.
Yo! It's official. Like a referee with a whistle. So like and share this episode. So welcome to the underworld. You might have heard about this broad, Ashlee Jenae. She was she died. Somehow, some way in Tanzania. There's been a lot of mixed stories. You know, I don't know which one story said she got found in the hotel room passed out and they took her to the hospital, and then one story said she was lynched in the hotel room. I don't know how that happened. So there's a lot of conflicting stories. A lot of this stuff is very suspect, in my opinion. You know, but you know, she's a good-looking girl. I think she's from Caribbean island somewhere. I know she says she's from Miami. So that means at least one side of her family is from the islands, more than likely. And there's a reason why I'm bringing that up, and you find out in a couple minutes. And she went to Tanzania, of all places, with her, I guess, fiance, McCann. You know, the guy, on vacation or whatever, and you know, but what happened to her fiance? That's the thing that's what's so suspect. How come she's in the hotel passed out, and where he at? That's what the whole thing is so very suspect, you know. And then he gets back. Her dad, he gets back to America, makes one phone call, and they haven't heard from him since. You know, so all this is very suspect to me. But like I said, she's playing a very dangerous game. I checked out her Instagram. Let me see if I can pull it up. I checked out her Instagram, and as soon as I saw her, what type of pictures she's had, I kind of already knew what time it was with her. She's one of these girls that you know, she's kind of playing way over her head. Whenever I see pictures like these are extravagant pictures, this is a boyfriend, Joe McCann. Whenever I see pictures of women having these extravagant vacations and purses and dresses and traveling to all these places, seem like every week, that tells me that, you know, she's living fast. Her lifestyle is being funded for this. This is not something that should be glorified, you know. And you have to understand, these type of relationships are usually a fetish, you know. And see, there's she was doing some goofy shit online too. That's another thing. She was leaving a little making little statements on X saying everyday black women wake up and find new ways to embarrass us. Everyday black men wake up and find new ways to embarrass us. She's making little comments like that online. See, that's that goofy shit. That's that goofy shit. That stuff like this. Same niggas bashing black women be the same niggas calling me a traitor for dating a white man. So now you think you got now the white man is the prize. This is the goofy shit. Stuff like this. This is not cute at all. I don't think this is not cool to me. Now some people will say after they read all these statements that she's been leaving, that hey, she got what she deserved, right? But my response is no response. I don't say anything when people behave like this online or in person, making little comments like this, about us as black men, and try to justify it why you dated a white man or dated out or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't say anything, But here's the problem with when these types of women make these types of statements online, you have a lot of guys that are predators. They're looking for these types of women so they can fetishize and off them and feel better about themselves. And plus, these types of women are looking for guys to fund their lifestyle. So it ain't nothing for a guy that wants a fetish to shoot a message to her DMs. That's why these women make these statements online. They call them divestors. They, got their little clique or whatever of women where they're basically looking for white guys to fund their lifestyle, But it's a very dangerous game because if someone's willing to fund your lifestyle, if someone's willing to be with you and pay you, then you get reduced to property. You're not even human no more in their eyes. They own you. So if you get out of line, they're willing to do almost anything to you. And I've known women that have lived this lifestyle and they've gotten out of it. They gotten out of it. They got lucky and got out of it, and they lived to talk about it. And they talked about how much of a mistake it was, and they would never do that shit again because they lost. In the essence, they lost their dignity. They lost their self-respect for themselves, and unfortunately, she didn't make it out. And a lot of these women and her, I could tell she's not built for this. She's not built for that lifestyle. And the reason why I say that, because if you a stone cold hoe, you're not going to be online making comments about black men, and how being with a white man is a great thing. A stone cold hoe or a woman that's living that life ain't gonna be online, period. She gonna be just handling her business. And you have to be built a certain type of way to live this type of life. And she wasn't. And that's how I know she didn't live, and we all make mistakes, but she didn't live long enough. She didn't make it out to tell her story. And here's the thing, being that she's from one of them Caribbean islands, here's another thing that a lot of people don't say, especially white people, but we know people that come over here from these other countries, they don't really know. They don't understand the politics and how shit really goes over here. regardless of how long they've been living here. A lot of these women, men and women, don't really understand. And see, a lot of white people are betting that you don't know what the fuck's going on, so they can take advantage of you. So what happens is when a young girl like her makes statements online shitting on black men, they like that. They're looking. There's hundreds of white guys online right now looking for women that's just like her, that they can prey on and take advantage of. That's just reality, you know. And this is why I always say there's a lot of weirdos out here. This is a good example of it, because you got these guys online and are just looking for women that they can prey on, women that are kind of like, they kind of know that she don't really know what's going on. She's saying little shit, you know. It's kind of like a signal for him to come in and send a DM, because he can kind of tell how she living ain't really, you know, she don't like it. She don't like her situation that she's in. So he feels like, okay, she can be my little fetish side girl from my wife or from my real family, you know. So they like these type of relationships, you know. And then some people say, well, it could be a sacrifice. It could be. That stuff happens. You know, I had a white guy tell me, this is like a long time ago. If you ain't no real, in order to be a real white man, you have to sleep with a black woman. You know, that's what. Well, he didn't tell me that directly, but you know, he told somebody else, and the person told me. You know, so these, but that's kind of like a secret society. You know, there's a lot. That's why I call it. Some people call it the shadow world. I call it the underworld. This type of stuff happens behind the scenes. People talk like that. You know what I'm saying? And every once in a while, you have a situation like this that might come about on the surface. And this happened in a foreign country, Tanzania. Now, if you've been following me for a while, I've said this many times. If you get into anything in a foreign country, you're on your own. You're on your own, buddy. And there's a good chance nothing is going to happen. There's no investigation that's going to be had. I don't know what happened exactly. You know, I don't believe this woman committed suicide or did anything to herself, you know, but there's nothing is going to get done. And usually nothing happens because in these other countries, it's easy to pay people off to keep their mouth shut. But that's just reality. It's not so easy to do that over here in America. You usually have to have, the means, and you have to know somebody and have money. But in these other countries, you can be a nobody. You ain't got to be famous. You can just have money. That's it. And they'll keep their mouth shut. And I'm not even talking about a lot of money, by the way. I'm not talking about millions of dollars. Or I'm not even. This is not no crazy money I'm talking about here. You get them a couple $100, they keep their mouth shut. So nothing's going. It's sad, but not their family. Her family, more than likely, is never going to find out the truth. It's probably never going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's sad, But see, this is a game that, she was playing. It's a dangerous game, because, like I said, she ain't really built for them streets like that. She ain't. I can tell by listening to her. I saw a couple of her videos. She ain't a stone cold hoe. She ain't built like that. She's a wannabe hoe, and she just was focused on the money aspect. But if you a stone cold hoe out in these streets, you're not on the internet at all. They're not talking at all. They're just playing the game, get money. You know what I'm saying? See, the problem with a lot of these amateur broads that try to be hoes, stone cold hoes, is if you talk to them, let's say if you was to roll up on one of them, it happens every once in a while with me, right? Because I know some of these women online that's just like her, right? If you say, how long you been in the game? They'll say, well, 5-10 years. And I'll be like, what you got out the game? And they can't really answer anything. They don't have anything to show for anything, you know, because where they live is in the hood or in the slums or in the favelas. Their family situation has not gotten better. All you see them do is get on planes or get on trains and, you know, in the next resort or hotel. But I'd be like, in 10 years, your situation hasn't gotten better. So why are you still doing this? You're not benefiting from this. You're better off just getting a job or building towards a high paying income in maybe a sales or something like that. You're better off just selling houses. Your situation hasn't gotten better. You still in the hood. You still in the favelas. You still living in the slums. You got to go back to the slums once you leave Dubai. So you're an amateur hoe. You know what I'm saying? And when the shit hits the fan, the family gonna be suffering, and then all of this will be for nothing. She just had a good time, but it wasn't no benefit for the family. The family didn't get anything. What part of the game is that? You know what I'm saying? Now the family, they got the raise. Somebody started a GoFundMe. You know what I'm saying? They got to raise money for her. You know, they got the 50 had to raise 50K. They got 52,000. So this is sad. This is sad. The family has to suffer, got to raise money, and they don't even really know what happened. The shit was in another country. The dude that she was with, he ain't really talking to them like that. You know, he ain't telling them what happened. They went over there together and he came back by himself. They might not even know when he came back. You know, and now I don't know if you know this. If the body's over in another country, you got to pay for that body. You got to pay for that body to have shipped back. They're not doing that. They're not shipping that body back for free. That they look at that her body as cargo now. It ain't like it's like you going through the airport like a passenger. No, a dead body is cargo now. So the family got to pay for that shit. So the family's confused, suffering, because unfortunately she was involved in a dirty game, a dangerous game. She was an amateur, didn't know what the fuck she was doing. And this type of shit happens. It happens all the time. I've been hearing stories like this since the 90s. This ain't nothing new. You know what I'm saying? But see, a lot of these people, these women from these other countries come over here and they think they know the secret. They think they know something that we don't know. We know what time it is over here. They don't know what time it is. They don't know how to move and shake out here because she ain't a stone cold hoe. She's just a young girl that want to live lavish. She want to be with the stars and entertainers. She want to live that life. But living that life comes with a price, baby. You know what I'm saying? So it's sad. I feel for the family, but she was just an amateur that just got caught up and didn't make it out to speak her truth. Sad. But hey, that you know, that comes with it. You know, there's no yeah. That's why you gotta watch the company you keep. And you gotta understand. And if you're gonna play the game, you gotta know the rules. And you gotta know what comes with that. And always remember, if someone give you something, they could always take it back. If someone give you something and you didn't have to do anything, see, that's different. That's different game right there. You know, then they funding your lifestyle. You become property to them. They own you. They own you. You know what I'm saying? So hey, you might disagree. You tell me what you think below. Like, share this episode. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.
Like and subscribe.